Welcome back, defenders. Russia lost another two planes. A MiG-31 and a Su-34 were taken out by a strike on a key airbase deep inside of Russia. Ukraine says its armed forces struck the Savasylivka airbase overnight, destroying a MiG-31 and a Su-34 fighter jet. And this is another $100 million worth of planes that Russia can't use to bomb civilians anymore. This airbase is located east of Moscow, and it's relatively small. I'm guessing that Ukraine spotted these jets parked outside and they got it with a drone. Maybe we'll get the satellite images in the next couple days. So where is Russia's revenge for Operation Spiderweb? Something big was supposed to happen. Putin wanted to show his anger and get revenge. But this is just what Russia was going to do anyways. Ukraine shoots down nearly 500 drones and missiles in a Russian record air attack. So this is 499 drones and missiles, Russia's largest ever coordinated nightly attack against civilian cities inside of Ukraine. Ukraine's air defenses is doing the best they can. They shot down 479, but 20 missiles and drones still hit their targets. And it was a bad night. It was a bad night for Ukraine and for the capital city of Kyiv especially. Russia kills women in Kyiv in one of the worst air attacks on the city, as well as they struck the maternity hospital in Odessa. A maternity hospital. Every single one of these drones and missiles were probably targeting hospitals, schools, universities, churches. Russia's not going for valid military targets. Russia's not even trying to destroy Ukraine's air force. 3.5 years into this war, and Ukraine still has an air force. Because Russia dedicates all their resources to blowing up maternity hospitals. I can share with you some of the pictures. This is, once again, Ukraine's historical architecture, their culture, and Russia is trying to erase it, trying to destroy it, trying to depopulate these cities, thinking that will somehow lead to the collapse of the Ukrainian state. Let me share with you the thoughts of Katerina. She's a Ukrainian resident of the city of Kyiv. This is what she wrote last night. Day brings life, night a struggle for it. The mere thought of this war's duration is overwhelming. Years past and more stretching into the future. Here, every night unleashes hundreds of attack drones and dozens of missiles, mercilessly sent by Russians into our cities. They are not running low. In fact, the number of incoming drones escalates yearly, reaching as many as 500 in a single night this year. Ukraine endures, yet each morning reveals colossal destruction, lost lives, and fractured bodies and minds. Responsible world leaders should be condemning this, should be taking action to make this stop. And we're not going to get that from the United States. But the Chancellor of Germany, I thank him for putting out statements. I thank him for speaking up, but more action is needed from world leaders. This is what the German Chancellor said this morning. The recent heavy Russian attacks on Kyiv and other cities are once again attacks on the civilian population. Again, these are the most serious war crimes, not military targets, but terror against the civilian population. Russia has deliberately and ruthlessly attacked the civilian population with numerous drones and cruise missiles. This was anything but a proportionate response to the very precise Ukrainian strikes against military air bases and infrastructure last week. This isn't a retaliation. This is just what Russia was going to be doing this week anyways. Russia doesn't want peace, and Russia doesn't want to stop this war. So what's happening on the battlefield? The Economist put out an analysis, and it's pretty accurate. Putin is preparing a large-scale summer offensive. Russia has massed 50,000 troops in the Sumy region, and they're dropping 25 guided bombs on the city of Konstantinivka every single day. So these are the two hot spots in the war. Let's zoom in first to Donetsk. and the Russians really want the city of Konstantinivka this summer. Pokrovsk was the hot spot going back to fall of last year, but Russia seems to think this is a better axis. They're coming from the northeast, they're coming from the southwest, they're coming from the southeast. And Konstantinivka had a pre-war population of 67,000. This is a massive city with lots of buildings, and no, I don't think Russia is going to take this city this summer. But if they keep up these attacks, yeah, they might be able to take it by the end of the year or late next year. I don't know. That's not really a huge accomplishment, but now that Russia has reached this highway, they want to close this gap and even out their front lines before going for Kramatorsk and Sloviansk. The other hot spot that we're going to watch this summer is in Sumy, and this is it. This is Russia's big summer offensive, and it's not very flashy. Russia has crossed the border and captured all of these border villages, but there wasn't really any Ukrainian defenders there on the border because it's not safe. So of course, if the Russians were going to cross, they're going to get a buffer zone of about 3 to 5 kilometers. Then they start hitting landmines and FPV drones and artillery and machine gun nests. So what is the concern to the regional city of Sumy? This is a large city of, I think, 500,000 people. And people are saying that the Russians cannot be allowed to get to this bend in the highway. These 3 villages right here, Kiansia. If the Russians can firmly take these 3 villages, they'll then be within FPV range of Sumy. And they'll start their daily attacks, the human safari like they do in Kherson. They'll just use FPV drones to kill anybody walking on the streets and just try and depopulate the city. Ukraine's holding, but they need more assistance. And they're not going to get it from America. US is sending 20,000 Ukraine-bound anti-drone missiles to the Middle East instead of to Ukraine. So last year, under President Biden, there was some kind of government contract where 20,000 anti-drone air defense missiles designed to shoot down Shahed drones. This was money allocated and a contract signed for delivery to Ukraine. And President Trump is choosing not to send these 20,000 air defense missiles. He sent them to the Middle East instead. This is President Zelensky not saying Trump's name, but calling out the United States. This is not a good thing to do.
And we counted on this project. 20,000 between us, 20,000 missiles, anti-Shahed missiles. It was not expensive, but it's special technology. So we counted on these 20,000 missiles. Today in the morning, my Minister of Defense told me that the United States moved it to the Middle East.
This is the correct thing to do. Zelensky should not say Trump's name. He can just say the United States or America. But if the United States or America is breaking government contracts, if they're breaking America's promises made under the previous administration, it's appropriate. It's acceptable to say America is not living up to their promises. They're not acting in good faith. I mean, we know why this is happening, but Zelensky's doing the best he can. So what is Donald Trump focused on this week? We're the ones who won World War II. Tanks arrive in Washington, D.C. for Trump's military birthday parade. The parade on Trump's birthday is expected to cost taxpayers $45 million, while the U.S. Congress grapples with spending cuts. And every day, guys, my country just gets more sad and embarrassing. Let me share with you this video of the tanks arriving in my nation's capital for Trump's birthday military parade. That is the Washington Monument, and this isn't who America is. Our founding fathers would not be okay with this. The President of the United States on his birthday demanding the military celebrate him with tanks and fighter jets and bombers. America does flyovers at sporting events because pilots have to fly anyways. They're just getting their training hours. But no, we don't have American service members goose-stepping through our nation's capital to project military power around the world. That is something dictators do. That is something that fascists do. And Trump wants this to be a big celebration of him. Everything Trump does is always about himself. He doesn't actually care about the country or any of its citizens. And Trump started rambling about his birthday military parade, saying nobody better protest him on his special day.
Celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester who wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, you know, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
So that is the President of the United States threatening American citizens for their constitutionally protected right to protest if they want to. And I don't think this parade is going to go well, because I don't think American service members care about wasting time. I mean, I served on active duty for 6 years, guys. If my commanding officer told me I had to go to Washington, D.C. and in dress uniform practice in the hot summer sun to march down Pennsylvania Avenue for the glory of our dear leader, I probably would have quit. Like, I probably would have said, throw me in the brig, I'm not doing it. Waste of time, waste of energy. And on top of this, the president is threatening people. I hope people do protest this parade, and I hope they throw taco shells. Soft shell tacos, hard shell tacos. Trump doesn't like tacos anymore for some reason. This is what fascists do. Donald Trump is a fascist. We all know this now. Nobody can deny this. This Saturday is going to be embarrassing, and every American has to own this shame. We are not like China. We are not like Russia. We don't do this in democratic states. Especially for the dear leader's special day, his birthday. I don't want to talk about what's happening in LA because I don't want to make the situation worse, and I don't think it actually is a big deal. It's not that many people participating in these protests. Like, there's more public destruction when, like a sports team wins the Super Bowl. But Donald Trump and conservative media is trying to escalate. They are deliberately sending in Marines, active duty soldiers, the National Guard. How this works in the United States is only the governor can activate the National Guard for the defense of an emergency. But Trump is claiming that under the Insurrection Act of 1807 or something stupid, he has the authority to activate a state's National Guard when the governor hasn't asked for it. The mayor of LA has not asked for it. The LAPD has not asked for it. Trump is deliberately trying to start riots so that he can seize more military power for himself. He could be going after illegal immigrants in red states. There's 2 million undocumented workers in the state of Texas, but Trump isn't going to Texas. He's going to New York City. He's going to Los Angeles. He's going to blue cities in blue states to deliberately fight with the Democratic mayors and the Democratic governors. He wants violence. He wants people to die so that he can seize more military power for himself. He's a fascist. But he's an idiot. And I do want to quick mention Star Wars Season 2 of Andor. It's fantastic. I'm actually watching it this week because so many people were talking about it. And dystopian science fiction is always a warning. George Orwell's 1984 was a warning of what could be. And Star Wars Season 1 was fantastic. I recommend that as well. But Season 2, they wrote this knowing that this was a possibility if Donald Trump got back into power. The entire storyline is basically describing what is happening in Los Angeles right now. I recommend it if you have a Disney Plus subscription. It's very well produced. But Trump is an idiot, and everyone he's appointing to important positions are also idiots, and they're not going to pull this off. America is really going to struggle the next 3 years, but Donald Trump is not going to succeed in this autocratic coup of our democracy. And the Russians know it too. This is the latest clip from Russia Media Monitor. Vladimir Solovyov and Dmitry Simes say that Trump is failing. Trump is failing to do what the Russians want him to do. Here's their discussion, and I really enjoy these clips on Kremlin State TV because they understand Donald Trump perfectly. They're very honest about what they think of him. So here's Solovyov. Is Trump failing? Right before our eyes, he lost a powerful ally that Elon Musk used to be. Having just left his position, Elon Musk started to harshly criticize the wonderful big bill, or whatever Trump calls it. Right now, you can't make out Trump's master plan. There is no plan, by the way, guys. Greenland and Panama can relax. I also agree with Solovyov. I don't think Canada and Greenland are going to be invaded anytime soon because Pete Hegseth is an idiot and he'll never be able to coordinate that. The scary tariffs with which he threatened everyone scared no one. The economy isn't feeling all too well. We had negative GDP growth here in the first quarter, so the United States is now in recession thanks to Donald Trump. Yelling at the head of the Federal Reserve also didn't yield any results. Aside from his exceptionally successful trip to the Middle East and a wonderful plane gifted to the Pentagon, Trump is really good at accepting bribes from the Saudis. What other positives are there? As